Hey guys, and welcome back to Basement Gamer, and welcome to our Last of Us Part 2 review.
Recap.
Yeah. Of note, if this is the first time you're watching a video here, I just did an entire playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2, so there will be spoilers in this video review of the game.
Yeah, we're talking about anything we want to, right?
Basically talking about everything,
okay.
Yeah. But basically I think the main highlights that we want to hit are kind of give it an overall rating, which will probably come at the end. What some of our favorite parts of the game were, some of our least favorite parts, basically what we liked, what we didn't like. And then, maybe talk about how we think they can continue the story and or continue the universe, and then like I said, we'll probably wrap it up with a review. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Shelby, did you like this game?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was
cool.
It was good.
And that does it for our review. I said it at the end of our very last part, the finale. I said that this is probably in my top 5 favorite games. Okay, where to begin? So the overall gameplay, to just start with that, obviously you didn't play it at all, but right. I'm sure you could tell that the gameplay of this game was a lot smoother than The Last of Us, the original one.
I guess, probably. I really won't commentate on gameplay. I'm not really good at knowing about that.
It was a lot better. Okay. I thought it felt a lot smoother. I felt like the first one felt janky.
Yeah, there was nothing I saw that was really out of whack, or that's there was 2 little things that we were that's weird, it glitched. But yeah. I mean, that's 2 moments in how many hours did we put in this game? So
probably close to 30.
Right.
I mean,
so that's
under.
So little.
Yeah.
They're only on my mind because it was more recent, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, overall, it definitely played a lot better than the first one. The whole crafting and, the different items and stuff that you had to use throughout the game, I definitely thought were a huge plus. It was definitely unique how you play as Ellie for the first half of the game and then you completely swap over to Abby, so I thought that was really cool. We'll get into that in a second. And then, overall narrative story-wise, Naughty Dog typically does a pretty good job of spinning a good story. I think they always give a solid 7, right? It's always good, at the very least. Which I know 7 to some people isn't good. But
regardless of the game, you'll probably, you'll get a good story out of what you're doing.
Yeah, if 5 is good and 10's perfect, 7's
you're gonna
pretty
get,
good.
You're gonna get a good experience.
So I will say that about the game. To actually touch on the actual story, they come out of the gates early on with basically the setup for the entire game.
Yeah. And
that is with Abby killing Joel. What did you think in that moment? And yeah, just overall thoughts and what you wanted to happen after that, essentially.
Oh god, I don't even know. I mean, it was bananas to watch, and it just happened. It literally all happened so quickly. Mm-hmm. And I know that's been the public outcry of the game, that it's been annoying everyone. I think it was very ballsy on a writing standpoint, that I appreciate it, because it was very ballsy. You don't see kind of steps like that taken very often, I'd say, in our media, because we're all people pleasers. But so in that sense, I almost liked it, as horrible as that sounds. It was very hard to watch and very upsetting, and I literally cried for 5 minutes. But in a story writing sense, I thought it was actually really smart, because it really drives home the whole second game.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, and if you're watching this, I want to kind of know your thoughts too. So we played through the first game, right? Joel, correct. Ellie. We play as Joel, right? The entire game. Yeah. And you know that in this game you're playing as Ellie the entire time. You saw any lead-ins, Joel's kind of getting older. Going into it, would you say that you already suspected that he might die in this game?
I didn't really suspect that. I honestly thought it was going to be I figured we were in some more controlled environment, whether we were back with Tommy in this culture or whatever. I thought of it more as all right, Ellie's older. She probably either wants answers about the hospital situation or just there's something new that's become a thing in her life that she wants to go out there, and it'll be the battle of like Joel wanting to protect her but her being independent. And I thought it was going to be more of like a Ellie goes off and does something like, and Joel's just back. Like, I just thought I didn't think he'd be super involved in the game.
Right.
But
okay, I can kind of get that.
I saw it more. I was just expecting that.
I had the feeling that Joel would die. Now, I also thought that Joel would die at the end of the game,
right.
not at the beginning.
Right.
Super powerful and, like, harsh, right? It's a cold slap to the face, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's kind of that Game of Thrones mentality of no character is safe.
Yeah.
We saw that this entire game. We saw that with Joel, obviously, right away. Mm-hmm. We then saw it with Jesse later on.
And for Abby, she lost everyone.
With Abby, we saw Manny. We saw Owen, Mel, Yara.
Yep.
We saw it on both sides. I mean, nobody's safe. Just because you're close to somebody, that honestly sometimes means bad shit's gonna happen to them.
Right.
And that kind of was the back and forth, right? Like, each person was taking pop shots at the other's, posse, if you will. Okay. So the overall story, right? So like I said, Joel dies in the beginning. In my opinion, that's out for vengeance, and I'm all about fuck this Abby chick. We're Ellie. We're gonna go hunt her down. We're gonna kill her. Was totally on board with that, right?
Yeah.
We then hit day 3 in Seattle, and we have that confrontation between Abby and Ellie for the first time in the movie theater after Abby kills Jesse. And Tommy's on the ground, and you're like, there's no way she's getting out of this. Hard cut. We're now Abby.
Right.
And from that point on, you slowly, forgot about how much you wanted to kill Abby.
Well, because you no longer saw her as just
the person who killed Joel.
Yeah, she now had a story.
Yeah, she had a pretty good motive for killing Joel. Yeah. I would say that she had the same motive for killing Joel as Ellie had for killing her.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, throughout both their stories, we find out they're basically like the same character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the idea of it.
So, you play as Abby. You find out that Joel killed Abby's father. He was the doctor who was working on Ellie, so that's why she went after Joel. You get an understanding of it. You can tell that the idea is to get you to feel like sympathy for her, and it's like, wait, okay, Joel isn't a good person, right? Like, he killed people,
right.
So technically not a good person. Even, everybody's a bad person, right? Kind of that mentality. We just slowly chipped our way back as Abby. It took a while. And then we get back, and I would say by the time the confrontation started, it was kind of like, I don't really want either to die.
Yeah.
It was kind of what I kept saying. However, if I wanted one person to kill the other, and I'm going to maintain this now, especially because of the end of the game, it would have been Ellie. However...
You want Ellie to kill Abby.
Yes. However, Ellie has nobody to blame for all of this except herself, if you really think about it. I think the reason she was so upset about the whole Joel getting murdered in front of her, not only because Joel...
It was a father figure.
Was really close to her.
Yeah.
But kind of like throughout the game, you're kind of like, oh, well, Ellie was a dickhead to him.
I mean, she was a teenager to him.
The night before. And then, Ellie found out that... found out the truth from Joel, which was crazy.
Right.
And she was a dickhead to him about it. And she couldn't understand, much like Joel couldn't understand Ellie in the first game.
Right.
And she couldn't understand Joel in this game. And the entire time you're kind of like, well, you know what, dickhead? Like, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Which is still the case. But I think the reason why it was extra painful is because literally 24 hours before Joel's murdered, she tried.
She took the first step to be like, I want to.
And so I understand so greatly why she so badly wanted to kill Abby, because Abby was the one who took away her chance to fix things with Joel.
Yep.
But then I also now understand at the end of the game when she's holding Abby underwater. Like, she keeps getting that flashback to Joel laying on the ground dying.
Mm-hmm.
But when she's drowning Abby, she gets a flashback to what is actually comes later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Joel sitting on the porch playing guitar the night that she goes to try and fix things. And she actually has that moment of like, no, I shouldn't do this. And it's just like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Like, I'd say overall I'm pretty happy. Like, I maintain that I just, like, I don't understand how you just keep going, like, I'm going to go all the way there, and then I'm just not going to follow through.
They literally did the same thing, yeah.
Like, you just put yourself through so much hell and shit to do that. But I also do understand, and I'm actually fairly happy with the ending. I don't know what I want to see next. We'll get into it. But overall story, how did you feel about it?
I was fine about the, like, overall story and whatever. Some of, like, and I know we said it throughout, but some of the pacing of it is, like, a different
Yeah, we'll
thing.
get into that.
Yeah, it's a different thing. But the actual story itself, I was pretty happy with it. I think I got a little more attached to Abby than you did. By the end of it, I was like, I'm kind of... Well, because I just saw them as, like, the same person. So I thought both parties were being, like... They were just pursuing something that was just going to keep repeating a cycle that was never going to end. And I was just like, oh my god, someone end the cycle. So it was just a lot of that. It wasn't that I wanted one to win over the other. But it was just like, they can't see that they're literally the same. And which obviously has a whole bunch of factors. But overall, no, I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed, you know, they're both super fired up people who... you know, want to protect who they love and will do pretty much anything to do that. And yeah. But that end, like, seeing the level of just brokenness in them, like, was insane to see. Especially just, like, visually Abby. Because she's this skin and bones. Like, obviously they chopped her hair off. She, like, her face was so sunken in. She was like, oh my gosh, it was insane to, like, bad. The visual change in her was, like, hard to see. Even Ellie had slight visual changes, obviously, and you could tell she was in pain, but just overall, like, they were so broken at the end, but still, like, wanted that last redeeming moment.
Yeah.
It was crazy to watch. It was painful to watch. It was crazy to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, overall, you're happy with the, like, Ellie goes all that way to end up doing nothing about it, essentially?
I mean, it's annoying.
Sorry, Ellie goes all that way. Ellie could have done nothing about it, right? But she, before getting in the boat, goes, no, I need to fight you.
Yeah. She literally almost walked away. She almost was like, you know what?
Again, like, I get. Like, I was like, you went all that way. Like, I get you gotta follow through. I'm not saying that necessarily, like, I'd be happy about it, but it's one of those things that as, like somebody who's, like, an audience member sitting back and, like, watching a movie, you understand why a character does the things that they do, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to like the actions, right. But it also doesn't mean you have to hate the character for those actions.
Right.
You know, you can think, like, I don't even know, I can't think off the top of my head, but, like, you know, GTA, I think, has a lot of moments kind of like that with, like, Trevor especially, because he's just, like, this crazy guy, right? But there are these moments where, yeah, you can, like, look at it and go, I'm not happy with that decision, but, like, I get it. Like,
yeah.
Like, on a human level, like, I understand why you did it. And I think that was me with Ellie this entire game. Like, I understood, but it was like, damn, like, if you don't follow through with it, like, why'd you do this? You almost died getting to her. Kill her. Right?
Yeah.
So they fight, and she lost 2 fingers, and it's like, you went all that way and almost died to let them go, but instead you were like, no, I'm also going to lose 2 fingers, and then I'm going to let them go. Like, that's just...
You possibly lost your girl, and basically your family. You were raising a child.
Right. So, absolutely...
you gambled everything on this moment, and then you let it go. Which, when it, like, flashed to Joel, I kind of was like, I feel like it almost felt like Ellie was like, we can't keep this cycle going. Yeah. Like, Joel essentially started it, and it was like, okay, and now, like, the children of the two who, like, it's all started with, obviously keep battling it out, and it's like finally it's just like having to make that call, or it's just never gonna stop. And also I feel like it's almost a point of, you, like, obviously we see in the end you had, even though it wasn't really satisfying, you did have that final moment with Joel that was a step towards redemption. And you, like, and like in the end, not that Joel wouldn't have gone on a vengeance thing for Ellie. I mean, he did, literally at the hospital. But I feel like it was almost a point of growth where it's like, when is the death too much? Where it's like, would Joel really have wanted this? Like, this whole killing spree that, like, nearly almost kills you, makes you completely lose sight of, like, the things you have, like, your family and everything. And, like, it made Tommy, like, lose everything. It made Ellie possibly lose everything. Like, we have no idea. And I think it was just a point of, like, this isn't, like, realistic anymore.
I think kind of what it came down to, I could be wrong, but, like, you know, both Tommy and Ellie were like, well, if it was one of us, he would have done this for us. But I think Ellie had that moment of, he would have done this for me, but what if he wanted me to do this for him?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right. So... yeah. I don't know. All right. So overall story, great, right?
Yes.
I thought narrative-wise, like, if it was a movie, I would have been on board. It was good story overall. I guess before we do the review...
yeah.
What was your favorite part of the game?
I don't know about, like, a part. I loved Yara and Lev so much. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because they brought, like, the redeeming factor out of Abby, so they made you feel heartfelt about everyone in the situation. I don't know if it was that, and it was, like, the falling down of these two communities who just hate each other for no reason. I don't know, because they, like, were the light in all of it. I loved those two so much. Like, for some reason, they were just, like, really cool, like, people to me. But so I loved all of that. I think that's why, like, I was literally, even though it was very slow and painful to get through, I was very much enjoying the Abby playing, because I loved their dynamic. And even when it was just Lev and Abby, like, I loved their dynamic. Like, I literally loved all of it. I want Lev to live forever.
Yeah. Day 3 for Abby was definitely, like, really good, because one, you were getting closer to the confrontation again.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part about this game was the, like, usage of time and flashbacks and all that stuff. Like, that was so well done to give you
how it was slowly
different
pieced
insights
together.
of, like, the greater puzzle. Just absolutely insane. Just so well done. Like, the way they were able to, like, move so fluidly from, like, one to the next. And, like, they gave you more backstory for both Ellie and Abby. Like, they had flashbacks for Abby, which, like, was, like, almost weird, because you were just kind of, like...
It was weird, just, like, until you realized what it was for.
Because, like, you know there was a gap between Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2, so you know there were things that Joel and Ellie would have had to have done,
right?
You know, between. And so you got some of that. But, with, like, Abby, like, you know, you find out that her dad, and then you're like, oh, okay, so, like, now what's the in-between for her? You know, what was between her dad dying and then her killing Joel, essentially. So the way they used flashbacks was just...
very smart.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. Overall, like, the pacing of the game was typically, like, pretty solid, but I think both of us, our, like, main dislike was the hard stop, the brick wall that we ran into.
Day 1 and 2 of Abby, basically.
And I think the main thing we talked about, the main thing was the fact that, you know, with Ellie, you're, like, ramping up. You're like, okay, got through day 1. Like, you know, that was kind of going slow, too. You were like, I want to find this bitch. I want to kill her.
Yeah, I was even getting impatient then.
Right. But... Day 2 is, like, coming. You're moving along. You're like, okay, we're, like, getting, like, somewhere. I see how this game is basically going to be. And then day 3 happens. And then, oh, my God, the confrontation already. You're like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm at the end of this game. And then you're Abby, and it's day 1. And you're like, I have to get back to day 3. I hope I don't have to do day 2. I hope I'm just doing day 1 and then it's day 3.
Yeah.
Not the case. So
they were long.
I don't know if necessarily it was technically any longer. I would say it was probably the same length. It
was just doing it twice.
It was just the fact that we had to go through that knowing what we were getting to and just wanting to be at that.
Right.
I would also say, I'll let you, like, touch on that at all if you want.
I mean, that's basically how I feel. I think I complained about it enough during the videos.
Yeah, you definitely were just like, speed it up.
Well, I
Let's
mean,
go.
especially me just watching, I'm like, oh my god, like, we're just slowly making our way through these streets, like, please end this day now. But, I mean, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, you're there and you're Abby and you're going through it. But yeah, it was just like the shock value is gone. You just wanted to be back in that moment of intensity and know what happened next. So, day 3 was paced fine because at that point action was picking up. It was day 1 and 2 that I was like, oh my god. Yeah, that was it, though.
Yeah, no, I obviously agree. I would say my other least favorite part of the game, and probably this is it, was the fight with Ellie as Abby.
Oh.
It was so incredibly hard.
That was just weird. That was one of, like, the glitchy parts that was, like, very funky.
Yes. And it was just super, super frustrating.
She was, like, a mega boss. Like,
she was extremely hard. Yeah, Ellie was extremely hard to beat. There's just some parts of, like, gameplay there that I was just kind of, like...
It was weird.
It was questionable how it was, like, built. But also, I... could have been just impatient knowing me or whatever, so I won't put too much fault on that, but that was definitely like super frustrating, and especially because like you're getting to the point where you've already put like, you know, over 20 hours into a mostly like linear game,
and you feel like you're winding down.
You kind of like, just feel like you get to a point where you're kind of like, okay, like I want to see the end of the game now, you know. Obviously however they like meant to build it, but like, you know, you get it. That's the other thing I'll say. The game did just feel overall just like a little bit long. Like I would have either rather them keep Ellie's first 3 days like the same length and just shorten Abby's, or just shorten like both of them about the same.
Yeah.
Like somewhere with like day 2, like make it shorter or whatever. But again, I don't really know how they would do that. I'm gonna play through it again and I'll get a better feel probably. But also with breaking the game up, that may have also been kind of like hard. Like, you know, overall it was probably 20 we did 29 parts, you know, 30 minutes to an hour each, so
yep,
we're talking probably like 25 hours is about what I put into it. So that's like a week of just like putting like a couple of hours into the game, but I was putting like 30 minutes to an hour then stopping, and 30 minutes to an hour, then stopping, then 30 minutes to an hour, then stopping. So I think that might have also kind of like hurt the pacing a little bit. So again, probably can't put like too much fault there, but those were definitely like the two like standout things. I felt like resource-wise, there was always like plenty to pick up, so they kept you well stocked, like the perfect amount that you like always felt like you needed to find more stuff, but like you were fine.
You know? There was really no point where you were like,
I never ran out except towards the end at the... Just
because there were so many people.
There were so many people and like...
But then there'd immediately be resources everywhere.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I would say that's it. Like otherwise, I loved like every part of this game. So without further ado, the overall review of the game.
Oh
no. Let's do like 100-point scale.
Oh, okay.
Just so that we can get like, you know, like we can like get in there.
Me just
like,
converting my 10-point scale number to my up.
Well, like, you know, instead of going like 9-point or 8-point, whatever, like,
just
you know, you can give like a flat number.
Okay.
You know, let's do 1,000 points.
No.
Okay.
Like my brain can.
You're like, I would just add a 0 onto the end of my score. Okay. So, overall, this game, I think because I just wanted more Last of Us so badly, I was just so ready to love this game. Basically, all of Ellie's part was like a 10 out of 10 for me. With this, like, the stopping and like switching over to Abby, I really liked it, but it like hurt the pacing a little bit. And I would have either rather them just go Ellie day 1, Abby day 1, Ellie day 2, Abby day 2 until you hit the point. Or, you know, like shorten Abby's part a little bit, or have both parts just be a little bit shorter. But, yeah. And then overall with the ending, really, really happy with it because I kind of was at the point where I didn't really want to see either one of them die. I would have understood if Ellie ended up killing Abby, but like
how would you have felt if they both died?
Oh, I would have hated that. That would have been like the one thing that I actually like really would have hated. And like
I did have that fear going into
that
it.
wouldn't ruin the game necessarily for me, but like I would be disappointed.
There really wouldn't be a point to anything they did.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
It would lose all purpose.
Well,
yeah.
Yes and no. Like they both kind of like.
I guess if you see death and purpose in death, you carried out what you wished, but there's no there's no life to enjoy that you did it. I guess.
I don't know. I would have been disappointed if that was the route they went, but depending on how they did it, I probably would have been like, I get it.
Right. Obviously, it could have gone anyway.
So overall, though, the ending I was actually like relatively happy with because I agree. I got to the point where with Abby, I liked her as a character and like. You know, as much as like for Ellie, if Ellie wanted to kill her, I was all on board. I was Team Ellie. I was like with the poster and I was like, kill her. But then when Ellie was like, no, I was like, yeah, that's probably better. And then I put the poster away.
And you swapped it out.
Like save her and your fingers. But yeah, overall enjoyed the ending. So like basically it was like a 10. They like fell to a 9.
You mean 100?
Sure. It was 100, it fell to a 90,
okay.
And it started to creep back up. I think overall, I would give this game like a 92 overall. Like, it is damn near perfect. Like, every review that said 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, 95 out of 100, 95 out of 10, 9.5 out of 100. You know what I mean? Like,
you're in agreement with them.
They were pretty darn spot on. 10 out of 10 for me, like, it has to be the perfect game.
Right. That's pretty impossible to do.
Like, it's not.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I guess GTA would be, like, my, like... GTA is probably, like, the closest to, like, a perfect game for me. Or, like, The Witcher was. I'd have to play it again. But, yeah, I think, overall, final score, 92.
Okay. My explanation is much less complicated. Well, obviously, again, I'm mostly based it off just primarily story because I don't play it at all. I don't know. It killed me how bored I got at some of the long points. I was getting very impatient. I would, like, as soon as we were done, I would be like, oh my god, I swear, if this takes a whole nother video, I'm gonna lose my mind.
That's definitely something that you don't, like, pick up on when you're, like, actually playing.
I know.
Like, when you're actually watching, I know that does.
I know. And I was just hitting that point where I was like, oh my god.
That's the one thing I will say about, I feel like The Last of Us, the first one, it was like, this game was a little more open.
Yeah.
I feel like the first one was a lot more like, just back to back to back to back.
Definitely.
So it was a little bit easier to keep your attention.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I definitely understand what you're saying. But as like a player, it played well.
Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, so I really started to lose patience in there. But overall, really enjoyed the story. Really enjoyed the characters. Love forever. But I also just in my brain, because again, I only watch, I don't play. I had to think about like, well, where does this sit amongst other games I enjoyed watching? Like story-wise and whatever. It's an emotional roller coaster, and that's like, bravo to a game for being an emotional roller coaster, because, you know, I feel like that's not too common for how much this game really carries you around, like, and you care about people and cry and like whatever. But I don't know, for me it's sitting at like an 87. I don't feel like it's like quite an A, but it's like almost like, you know, you could probably get a little extra credit from the teacher, like maybe if Lev just smiled a little bit and I'd be like, okay, yeah,
well, he's got the scars.
But yeah, I don't know. And also just like the characters were cool. I liked everyone for the most part. They all had cool interactions, you know? I don't know. But yeah, it's sitting about there for me.
About an 87.
Yeah.
Wow. So that would put our combined score at an 89.5, rounded up.
It's basically a 90.
It's basically a 90.
Yeah.
Basically like a solid B plus to an A minus. I would agree with that, yeah. Definitely. And I definitely understand from like a viewing standpoint, it's even harder to like be perfect because it needs to flow for a viewer. Which, you know,
it's a video game. It's not fully intended to like capture my every second of attention.
Again, as like as somebody playing, you don't pick up on like some of the dead parts because you're just moving and like it's not dead for you, right?
Else, yeah.
Okay, so that was our review
will there be a Last of Us 3?
The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, that's the last thing I want to touch on. Do you think there will be a Last of Us Part 3?
Yes, because we don't know how to stop franchises in this world. Also, just because I think you could continue the story. I mean, the universe is, like, unending. The world's ending.
So you think there will be a Last of Us Part 3?
Yes.
Interesting.
But I don't know if I want it, and I know we had a big conversation about this last night. I don't know if I'd want it to involve Ellie. Or, like, I don't know if I'd want her to be the primary focus. So then would it be
Last of Us Part 3?
I guess technically no, if you're talking about, like, Last of Us Part whatever being about Ellie. It would just be the universe.
Yes.
But, like, I don't know. I just, like, I think it'd be cool to almost have a resurgence of the Fireflies. Which, not that Ellie couldn't be involved in that, but that feels, like, so far back in her past and, like, not a focus. It'd almost be, like, weird for her all of a sudden to be like, I care again. Let's go get the Fireflies. So, I don't know, like, that's exciting. Or, I don't know. I want a Lev game. Or, I don't know. It would have to be, like, they'd have to really find something new, I feel like, for Ellie. It's like, okay, we get the point of it. Like, what's gonna happen next? I don't know. But, yeah. I think there will be. And I think it'd be cool to focus on someone else.
I think there will be another game in the Last of Us universe.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been clamoring for a Tommy game.
That'd be interesting.
I think Tommy could work. Like, literally all of Tommy up until, like, the theater, and then seeing his, like, interaction when he came back.
I mean, it could even be way before that.
No, I know. I'm saying, like, his entire life. Basically from when he and Joel split up.
Yes.
Through. Because you can just, like, speed up, like, certain parts and make jumps and stuff. Because he clearly had a lot of different...
experiences.
Points in his life. Honestly, like... You could do something with Joel, even. Like, before Ellie. You could continue Ellie, I'm sure. I don't know what that would look like, honestly. And then obviously you have Abby and Lev as kind of like the Joel and Ellie aspect of like two people together, right? Rolling through. But kind of like what is next for them? I guess just the search for the Fireflies. So that could potentially be a game. I could see them doing what Uncharted did and like making like Uncharted Lost Legacy and making like a spin-off game. That would be a full game. And it would be for like Tommy, or it would be like an Abby and Lev game. But I think if they make a Last of Us Part 3, I feel like it would have to be... You
mean if they continue the naming of
it? Like I just feel like otherwise like it won't be called Last of Us Part 3. It'll be a third game in the Last of Us universe. And
I definitely think The Last of Us and like have like a subtitle or something.
Abby's Adventure.
Abby's Adventures in The Last of Us.
Could be like something like that, maybe. I don't know though, and I don't really care.
I mean, either way.
If they left it at that,
that's fine.
Fuck, like super emotional right at the end and like upsetting, but really, really good. So I could see them doing that, and I would be absolutely fine with that. And I would love to see them kind of just make a game that's like similar and just call it something different, and like it could take place in the same apocalypse, and it doesn't even need to be called Last of Us.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Naughty Dog is great, so love all their games, and I'm excited to see whatever they do next, if it's Last of Us related or not. Thank you guys so much for watching this review of The Last of Us Part 2. Would love to hear your thoughts down below. What is your overall score of the game?
On a 100-point scale.
100-point scale. So if it's a 9.2, that's fine. You're allowed to say that. But if you meant to say 9.2 out of 10, it's actually 92, like me. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because Monday, today's Friday. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Monday, I don't know what's going to come out, so just...
Do you even remember life before Last of Us?
I don't. I think I was playing Animal Crossing.
Oh, what's that?
Not on the channel. Oh. But yeah, if you subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications, you'll be notified on Monday, and you'll get to see, oh, that's the game Spencer decided to play after The Last of Us? Weird.
Oh, God. Not that one.
Yeah. So we'll see what that is. But thank you guys for watching this video. And like I said, if you watch the entire series, all 29, not 30 episodes, thank you.
Well, if you watch this, you watch 30 episodes.
This isn't an episode of The Last of Us. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Have a great day. And hope to see you back here Monday for